Hey fellas, we're back with a video on the Kagero. This is actually my last battle of this ship, and it was a good one. This is actually my first tier 8, so I really wanted to finish it up, and I'd gotten close just in the last battle. I only needed like maybe 300 XP or something like that to finish it off. So, jumped in one more time before I get to the Yūgumo, and we are playing in a tier 10 match. Me being the bottom lowly destroyer, tier 8. If you haven't played the Kagero, it's a fun little ship. Nice torpedoes. It's the detectability, stealth of it, 5.4 kilometers. You're talking like kamikaze style stealth. So, very nice. Hey, and if you play the Akatsuki, this is, it's similar. The gun layout is, for once you actually have some decent guns for a Japanese destroyer. I mean, you go through all these Japanese destroyers and you're just like, oh, these guns are just like killing me, right? Well, we're starting at the Akatsuki to this one. You get the dual mount cannons and a little bit better shell velocity and accuracy. So yeah, they're a lot more interesting to play. I mean, you actually have a fair chance now against other destroyers instead of just getting simply gunned down and having to rely entirely upon your stealth. First torpedo load setup, and you'll see me here. You've ever watched me play this game, you'll notice I do a lot of this blind firing stuff, and I have a general idea since the cap started that he was probably going to be around that area right there, off the edge of that island. So I lay two torpedo shells in, hit my consumable quick reload on my torpedoes because I thought, hey, maybe I get another one more chance to drop some torpedoes in there, but I kind of get in the wrong angle here, and I really didn't want to beach myself in this situation. So I pull out the torpedoes I do send in there. Luckily, the Zhao happened to be trekking right about that same spot. So I do get one nice hit on the Zhao and put a nice torpedo into him. Like I said, I blind fire a lot of corners like that. Just more of the. I have a general idea where those ships are going to be coming, so laying out that little minefield like that is always kind of nice because you do get somewhat successful. I mean, it doesn't happen often, but you do get once in a while. You get you catch a destroyer or a cruiser coming around a corner or whatever just by simply laying them out there. So reloaded with the quick charge. It was 7 seconds on this fine destroyer. So in reality, you can put out a 16 spread set of torpedoes in about between 8 and 10 seconds, which is a lot of torpedoes with a 10-kilometer range. Yeah, it works out nice. So I got a German battleship here cruising at me, and I wasn't terribly sure I was going to probably hit him, but maybe there'd be an off chance that he wouldn't be paying attention and run right into him. But he, a little more of a seasoned player, he doesn't just simply drive into it. Now, at this time, I also noticed the Minotaur, which is over here with me, had actually popped smoke. So now I'm not just being a destroyer here trying to torpedo shit. I'm also his eyes. I'm trying to keep these guys lit for him. I picked up the destroyer for him, keeping the other cruiser and battleship lit, as well as the other Minotaur and the other Tier 10 German battleship. So, by picking up that destroyer for him, he had a general idea that the destroyer was trying to move in here to, torpedo the smoke screen that he was sitting in. And that's one of the problems with these ships that have, especially the cruisers, they have such a small smoke screen, and it's very easily, as a destroyer captain, if you see the Kutuzov, Belfast, the Minotaur pop smoke, it doesn't take much of a spread to put, shells right through there to finish them off. You know, especially if they're sitting still and they're not the player doesn't really understand what's going on. So pick up the Minotaur. I'm more interested in this Kurfürst off to the right of me. I'm trying to play a little bit, a little more passive here, just because of the amount of airplanes that are flying over this location. But the nice thing with the Kagero, it does have a decent, you know, they have to get within under 3 kilometers for them to pick me up. So I drop a spread on the Kurfürst. He, luckily, for some reason at one point or another had used up his repair kit. So you'll see me here get a nice spread on him. Now, I don't know if he didn't see that or what, but the Minotaur should have picked all of those. I mean, he did get hit. I did hit the Minotaur, but the Kurfürst should have a pretty good idea that there was a spread of torpedoes headed his way. And unfortunately for him, he didn't seem to really care. So he gets nailed by 3 and starts to flood. You know, at the same time he's trying to repair as he's flooding. So you'll see me rack up some fair amount of damage off of just that one ship. So we got the Minotaur and me are running to beat hell. I had tried to take A, but with 2 of us and, you know, being 6 enemy ships over here, it's not the easiest. And it makes it even more tricky is that the carrier pilot for the enemy team didn't really keep any of his planes over this area, knowing us that we're already here. So now you'll see me here start taking shots at the Minotaur, just because currently the Minotaur with me is getting pummeled by 5 ships, right? So what I'm doing here, since I'm full health, and I did get the Kurfürst, is essentially all I'm doing is trying to draw attention, and which I do. Nobody likes destroyers, so cruisers will spend a great deal of time trying to kill you, and by me taking some of the attention off of the Minotaur and giving some assistance, allows him to just pummel that other Minotaur to death while he was busy trying to shoot me and switching back to targets. You know, eventually he did try to go back to the Minotaur, but by that time the armed Minotaur had just pummeled him to death. I took a little damage, but you know, hey, trying to keep your teammates alive is just as important as some of the other duties that you have as a destroyer. I let the Minotaur with me know I don't have any smoke, just in case he was wondering why I wasn't assisting him. This, of course, gets a little dodgy. The destroyer captain, you know, as a destroyer captain, it sucks if you have a competent carrier pilot on the other carrier captain on the other team, because they can make your job absolutely miserable by keeping those fighters over top of you and keeping you located. So, turn the corner. Luckily for me, I had some islands here in the way, so I wasn't terribly worried about getting nailed by these guys fighting over top of me. And by God, please, please, friendly captains of carriers, don't fly your planes over your destroyers. I mean, come on, really? You know, I don't like getting spotted. So why did you? And if you wanted AA support, you should have, you know, circled the destroyer instead of flying over it. So now I was spotted, which sucks for me. You know, I worked my way out of it. Thank God that they took off. So dropping some shells here on the Tier 9 German battleship. Like I said, he's a little wily character. He's obviously been around the game a little bit here, so he you know, automatically turns away. He probably assumed that once he got spotted that I was here. So he is currently busy. At the time, was looking in the opposite direction. So you know what? I thought, yeah, you know what? Let's see if I can get some damage in there. He's on fire. I start dropping shells. It's a little tougher to actually, you know, do damage against some of these bigger battleships. But surprisingly enough, by nailing him a few times, I actually had turned his attention away from my Minotaur again. Um, that's one of the things as a destroyer, since I'm well outside of my normal detectability range. Yeah, I might fire a few times, but after I'm done firing, I go invisible. So there is a chance I could take a couple big slams, but also at the same time, if I can draw their attention away from my teammates, it gives me a little bit better chance of winning the game. Turn the engine boost on. I'm heading for A. We already got 2 caps, but it's nice to have 3. So I'm heading back to A. Hopefully, finally being able to capture it. It seems like most of this game I spent running at one point or another. Obviously with this, just the 2 of us, essentially the Minotaur and and myself and the Kagero. There was at any given time at least 6 to 7 ships over here, actively trying to kill us. Surprisingly enough, we were able to keep out ahead of them and not die. So now we've turned around. The Minotaur's currently hammering away on the North Carolina, and we're both headed into the A cap, just to kind of keep everything, a little quicker victory here. I was a little worried that I actually wasn't going to be able to get back to that cap, or at least try to start picking up some cap points, just because our superiority points have been gaining quite a bit. So, once again, North Carolina not paying attention, aimed at the Minotaur, so I start dropping shells in on him. He does, the Amagi, his buddy in the back, actually does end up getting the Minotaur eventually. But North Carolina is not paying attention. Like I said, start hammering him. And these are just HE shells, so a lot of them don't do any damage. I do get a little over 1,000 damage off of him. So that leaves me with an Amagi. I'm just starting to get to cap. They have a scout plane up, which could be annoying. Hopefully, we'll see how this goes. So, got an Amagi off to my left. I got my cap circle coming up. I'm not sure exactly what his plan is. This is those battleship deals that kind of pisses me off. He's spent most of the game hiding out in the back, sniping with a really shitty gun at things that are 15-20 kilometers away. And now he's going to get to pay for it, I guess. So, drop some torps. He's coming in close. Hit my consumable for the faster reload. 7 seconds later, I'll be back up with more torps, and he's gonna get 8 more torpedoes in his direction. Puts him right on target. Puts him a little bit to the front, some behind, and at this point we're sitting at 903 superiority points. I'm gonna try to get as much damage as I can. Get into cap, and then I just start trying to rain down as many shells as I can onto him before he dies. That, and I have a whole bunch of torpedoes currently on his way. So one way or another, I'm going to get him. So I finish him off. That pretty much ends the game. Start capping the final point. Hopefully that at that time, that obviously we should not be able to lose this, but weirder shit has happened, right? Shimakaze just shows up. By this point, though, it doesn't matter. Our superiority points will be, we've already won. So, hope you guys enjoyed the game. The next one is going to be the Yūgumo. Hey, fellas. Back with the Tier 9 Yūgumo. This is actually my first Tier 9 ship. And this is my very first game in the Yūgumo. This is, I just finished the last game you watched in the Kagero, so this is my first game in the Yūgumo. It's a Tier 10 match. So yeah, it's actually one of the quickest games I've seen in a long time, how fast this game went. But, so what is the difference? Not much really between this and the Kagero. I got a few more hit points. I haven't got it up anywhere close to being fully upgraded. I switched out my captains, and I do believe I free XP'd the set of torpedoes. So these are 12-kilometer torpedoes. little bit faster. They do have a shorter set, 8-kilometer torpedoes with a much quicker, very, very, very fast torpedoes. But once again, it's all about stealth with these destroyers, and I prefer to be as far away as I can without getting spotted. Kagero's got 5.4 detection range. This is 6.1. So it's going to be a little different play style, right? So I was kind of expecting to be not quite as stealthy. But so immediately move toward A cap because, you know, capping, that's the way you win games. Alright, so I headed into A. I do have a little bit of support. I got 2 cruisers and a battleship coming in behind me. And as usual, the salt in chat is always interesting. Always interesting. So, move my way in. I have a couple here. I have Minotaur, Iowa, and the Yūgumo. And the Minotaur is well within my range. So I decide I'm going to see if I can get lucky and see if he's actually paying attention. So I fire one on track and I fire one behind. Get into cap. Hopefully he sees me in cap, so maybe he's going to be a little bit more, not quite as aggressive. You know, since I've lit him, he's getting pummeled here by the battleship and the 2 cruisers that are with me. So far, I haven't had anybody challenge me for this cap, so hopefully this is going to be a nice clean one. And you know, and then as a destroyer captain, I prefer open water, so these little short channels, narrow channels, and whatnot are not my favorite kind of play style. You know, if I'm in an American destroyer, probably not such a big deal, but being out here in the Japanese destroyers where stealth is a little more important, if I don't have to have islands and shit in the way, it helps me here. So you're going to see me, I cap A, and now I'm going to start making my way out into the open water as much as I can. So once again, back to the salt and chat. Which shouldn't be so bad, but the guys that are talking shit in chat are also the ones that are still going to be sitting, you know, on the age line. They really don't actually do move or really do anything in this game. Surprise, surprise. Which is nice. I got a battleship moving up and the 2 cruisers. You know, I've always kind of thought, you know, hey, destroyers take the caps, but you got to have ships that are going to hold the cap. So I move up. What I'm trying to do here too is on their screen. I'm the one that's going to be out here trying to keep things lit, make sure there's no destroyers that are going to be interfering with them, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, it's kind of a feast or famine with destroyers. You know, I've had some really high damage games, and the games I don't do a whole lot of damage, but I get a lot of caps. I keep things lit. I make myself a nuisance. But we win, you know, and that's kind of like once you do with the destroyer, that's kind of what you do. You know, it's a feast or famine. It's sometimes you need to do a lot of damage, and other times you just need to keep caps captured and things lit, and be a regular little annoyance, you know, for before the enemy. Got the Iowa in range. You know, and like I said, I'm not always terribly sure, but I hate having torpedoes sit in my tubes while I wait and watch things happen here. So, drop a few torps in the Iowa. There's an off chance that he might turn into him, or I might catch him from behind. Either way. So they're pummeling the Iowa, and you know, at that time I'd actually noticed the Yūgumo sitting over here, essentially not moving. So I got about a minute for my reload, and I take the kind of the long way around the island. So there is an outside chance that I might catch that Iowa, but we'll see. So far we got 2 of the caps. Really, they didn't challenge a whole lot. I mean, we had the B. They captured the B. Other than that, they hadn't really challenged any other caps. So it was kind of an interesting play by them to just hang out here. So I got an Amagi, and I haven't decided what this one yet, if I'm going to try to keep the smoke screen, or I might go with the I did get a shot in on the Iowa. If I want to go back to using the speed load consumable for torpedoes, I'm thinking I might go with the torpedo speed load. I would have a little bit more damage here if I could have did that. So I dropped speed. I'm just sitting here waiting for my torpedo to reload, and I'm going to try to put a couple in here on this Yūgumo. He's actually just idling along about quarter speed, so he's only going like about 8 knots. So drop a few in here on the Yūgumo. You know, I've pretty much dropped myself down a quarter, which means I'm only going about 8 or 9 knots. Get my torps off. They're looking pretty good. Turn away, wait for my reload on. Let's see if I can go after the Magi. So at this point, we have 3 caps, and we are just absolutely wrecking these guys. I got for sure at least 2 hits in on the Yūgumo, possibly more, depending on how much he turns away from that torpedo spread. Get one more good hit into him, and then I start, since his turn's turned away, I just start dropping shells in on him, some high explosive shells, see if I can get some more damage. You notice, like I said, I have islands in front of me, so I'm not terribly worried about getting shot in return. So he's still, I believe he was flooding at one point, but he had repaired it. Now he had started gaining here. So I got the Magi. We're sitting at 820 superiority points. So I'm done. I'm just at this point just looking for as much damage as I could possibly get before the game's over with. And we're gaining quickly, so you know we're going to be at 900 here by the time I make the corner. Torpedoes reloaded, so I'm not. I mean, I could have played a little safer, but like I said, I wanted some damage here before the game was over. So the Magi, he had been firing off to the north at the battleship, so I figured his guns would probably turn the wrong way. I also noticed that he's also going to beach himself. So this is the best time to you know, torp somebody, is when they're backing up. So I pull within 4.4 kilometers. I think I'll get within 3 kilometers before I fire. Pull in, torpedoes loaded. I'm sitting right at 3 kilometers and 2.9. Put my load out, drop my speed, get nailed hard, pop my smoke, and then I just start to pummel him because we're sitting at 950. Game over with. Yeah. I'm just gonna sink him. So hope you guys enjoyed the. I downloaded the thing to make replays, and I keep getting this every time, and I don't know why, but I'll figure it out. Hope you guys enjoyed the games, and I will be putting some more up a little later. Thanks, guys.